So I'd like to thank AOS, the organizing committee, and CIPLA for this wonderful opportunity. And my topic is infection control standard during COVID times. One of the positive aspect of Corona is the renewed interest in infection control, and also our people have relatively got better with no spitting, no crowding, no queue, following the queue, hand wash, and washing their feet. So my talk today is basically on these 5 topics: the hospital infection control principles, the protections and various barriers, the training and monitoring of our staff, audit and outcomes, and the triage and certain OPD protocols. And this is based on the IPC protocols and relevant program linkages. So the first part is adhering to the standards. As you know, COVID has evolved over a period of time in the last 15 to 16 months. There have been various guidelines and updates from CDC, the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, ICMR, as well as the state administration. There may be some difference in the guidelines, but it's important that we adhere to the updated standards. And the talk is also based on the national guidelines for infection prevention and control, as well as the other relevant guidelines from the various stakeholders. And accreditation standards have evolved over a period of time, right from minimum requirement to maximum requirements. And as and healthcare providers, it's important that we maintain all these standards in care delivery system. And AOAS has come out with a preferred practice pattern at the beginning of the COVID pandemic, and this is a useful resource to follow for the practitioners. As you all know, infection is one of the most common adverse event in healthcare, and this can be preventable through hospital infection control measures. And the first step is establishing a comprehensive program in your facility and the clinic. So who is at risk? All of us are at risk, particularly the doctors, nurses, and healthcare providers. And how does the infection transmit from patient to workers and worker to patients and worker to worker or the staff? So this is how the infection control standards go, starting with the patient flow, the administrative controls, infection control practices, and engineering controls, manpower, including the staff health and training, and developing their capacity, and also the logistic issue, particularly availability of PPE and other resources, and then the clinical management. So the objective of this program is protecting yourself, your patients, the community, and the environment, and also enhance the ability of the clinic to survive this pandemic and provide care during the COVID pandemic, and also prevent from amplifying the outbreak. So basically, this program has to be documented for medical legal reasons as well as auditing purposes. And this infection control mechanism should be there in all areas of the hospital. The first step is to go about this is customizing your standard operating procedures. So don't copy from other institutions, learn by yourself and modify to your needs. And make the SOP or COVID update based on the standard and reliable references rather than WhatsApp or social media updates. So it's important you update the infection controls SOP every year. And for example, this was updated in the first version 1 in April 2020 and the version 2 in April 2021. And it's important you display and communicate with the local community about the various measures taken to prevent healthcare infections. And this can be in the base of display units or visual alerts and talking walls. The second point is minimizing the chances for exposure and certain procedures and precautions to be followed in OPD areas. And so first thing is to start with controlling your entry and exit to the clinic. So you need to have a proper flow chart and triage system. And at the entry, you have to screen the patients for a temperature as well as pulse oximeter. Ask them to hand wash and provide hand rub and provide mask. And you also have to be vigilant about proper usage of mask. And the third point is managing the visitor access. You all know in India, visitors form the majority of incoming people into the hospital. So these people have to be controlled during COVID time. And you have to avoid crowding in the waiting areas, and seating arrangement have to be separated with at least 1 meter spacing between the seating areas. And there has to be some physical barrier between the patients if they are waiting for a long time, and limit staff movement, ensure that the windows and doors are open to bring in more fresh air, and ventilation can be changed by putting more exhaust. And during lean time, do not switch off exhaust so that you get fresh air coming into the uh, clean areas. And we ophthalmologists can be the first point of contact, particularly because of the close nature of examinations. So we have to be careful during the lockdown as well as post-lockdown period. Defer all low risk and non-urgent care, or do the teleconsult and see only the patient, and you can teleconsult with the attenders. And ask the patient to wear mask all the time. Routine OP may be restricted during the lockdown, and ensure that emergency services are continued, and routine camps and diabetic screening camps may be postponed. And certain precautions to be taken in the OPD: keep the doors open and ensure there is a barrier between or a protective shield in the slit lamp and all examination equipment. And avoid direct ophthalmoscopy and not dilating fundus camera. IDO can be used. Tonometer can be used with proper precautions. And perimetry, of course, there is a risk because of the closed bowel and a long time of testing, but there is no significant difference in the aerosol count in the bowl of HFA. And so there is a low risk of contamination. You can continue to do all these investigations, but ensure that infection control mechanisms are followed. And beware of this crazy COVID and post-COVID presentations, particularly high incidence of herpes zoster ophthalmicus is a long case series, about almost 18 cases we have seen in the first and second wave. And then non-healing conjunctivitis, non-responding conjunctivitis, episcleritis, and scleritis, they do need oral and topical steroids. And now the epidemic within the pandemic, rhinoorbital cerebral mucormycosis, a rapidly progressive disease. The key to vision and patient survival is early diagnosis. So connecting the dot, a lot of varied atypical presentation in the OPDs, the delayed referral, high risk of infection, and most of these patients may be still be positive. So you have to be careful about implementing the infection control. The standard precautions have evolved over a period of time with every epidemic, and now with COVID update, standard precaution with COVID update have to be followed. And these are all given in the various guidelines as well as patient standard safety standards. Hand hygiene continues to be the gold standard, and PPE has to be optimized and used judiciously because of not only non-availability but also the problem with biomedical wastage. And you have to see to that all layers are followed in the hospital, right from social distancing, wearing masks, washing hands, RT-PCR testing, as well as now the vaccination. So how safe is eye surgery during COVID time? The elective procedure has to be taken carefully. Emergency uh, patients can be taken. In eye care, the risk is relatively less, but ensure that all surgeries are day care. And if you are taking post-op patients or treating patients who need admission, you have to be careful with the attenders also. So ensure faculty or senior faculty members attend to the patients to reduce emergencies. Try to avoid GA unless mandatory, and preferably topical or local anesthesia. Ensure that all the staff wear appropriate PPE. Engineering controls a major stay in COVID control. High risk areas have to be properly monitored and surveillance measure initiated, particularly your OP, OT, and the CSSD. And some of the procedures are high risk procedures like lacrimal surgeries, oculoplastic surgeries, and post traumatic surgeries. And you can also use these adjuvant measures, the ultraviolet sterilizers, air sterilizers, and ozone sterilizers to reduce the viral load and ensure that UVGA is, people are not exposed to ultraviolet germicidal irradiations. Engineering control, it's mandatory in operation theaters. Ensure there is proper plumbing and no seepage because of the high risk of mucor in the community now. And ensure that AC ducts, filters are all clean, and there has to be proper monitoring of the working areas when it's under repair. The sixth aspect is training and educating our staff. Ensure that the staff stay home if they are sick to prevent infection to the other staff and to the patients. These 5S rule should be applied to all the staff: social distancing, safety PPE, self-hygiene and self-isolation, and of course, self-discipline. And so this is the consent form we give to all the staff, and also we take a checklist questionnaire to ensure that they are free from the symptoms in the initial phase. The seventh point is establishing the reporting procedures. This is mandatory for the safety of the organization and the doctor. COVID-19 is a notifiable disease, and now mucor is also a notifiable disease because of the epidemic nature. Mucor is one infection that has really surprised everyone, as fungi or the interface organism between life and death. And these are some of the patients we encountered. So preventing mucor is also part of infection control. Judicious use of systemic steroid has to be inculcated with the physician and the treating team. The diabetes mellitus have to be aggressively monitored and controlled. And in high-risk cases, you can consider primary posaconazole prophylaxis and strict aseptic precaution while administering oxygen. So now the oxygen usage was very high, high flow oxygen, and also the usage of industrial oxygen. So ensure that sterile water for the humidifier, change and staff change the humidifier daily, and also the personal and environmental hygiene is taken care of, and barrier mask covering the nose and mouth all the time. So the key for quality patient care and infection containment is hand hygiene, respiratory etiquette, contact and droplet precautions, standard and additional precautions protecting yourself and the staff, triage for OPD and inpatients, judicious and appropriate usage of PPE, and a good process for disinfection and sterilization of key clinical areas. There is only one good, that is knowledge, and one evil, that is ignorance. I hope I sowed the seed of knowledge in the last 10 minutes or so. Thank you for your patience.